2025 ended as an incredible year for anime and manga all around. We had the release of Solo Leveling Season 2 and Dan Season 2 that took the anime world by storm with its higher and higher view counts and ratings. Then of course we had the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle and the Chainsaw Man Reze arc that were both nominated for the Oscars. They hit box office levels unseen by the anime industry. And then of course we have One Punch Man Season 3. Hold on, yeah, my bad, that wasn't a high point. We had shows like Gachi Akuta, my favorite new anime of 2025 that a lot of anime fans gravitated towards, and it's for many reasons. It has unique world building, unique and very good character writing, as well as a quirky power system that works perfect in this world. They also balance out hilarious comedy with heart-wrenching and touching moments, making it the first show I've felt for like this in a while, and dare I even say since One Piece. Speaking of the devil, One Piece rose back up to the top of the manga world in 2025, having its best year since 2018 when it was dethroned by Demon Slayer. But 2018 was 8 years ago, guys, and before that One Piece was always on top of the manga world, selling the most of each manga every year. Anyhow, 2025 was the year of One Piece despite other manga and anime doing brilliantly well. But before we get into why this year of One Piece was so great, I've got to remind you guys to subscribe to my Haki Review YouTube channel for more injections of One Piece content in your subscription feed. Or not, it's always up to you. But this video will contain spoilers up to the Elbaf arc, so if you're not caught up to date, make sure to go ahead and read it and come back to this video and let me cook. Let's go. What makes this year so special for us OP fans is the amount of lore being brought to us by the almighty Goda. For instance, we start off the year discovering more about the library of Elbaf and its librarian owl that is said to be there for hundreds of years. The library itself contains a lot of knowledge about the ancient times in the One Piece world, since the books from the Library of Ohara was relocated there by Jaguar D. Saul, Robin's friend from her backstory. But it's very convenient that the library owl, Biblot, that has been there for centuries, having the gigantification devil fruit. I'm pretty sure he can only use his power on certain objects like newspapers, books, etc. But I'm not sure that he can use it on living beings. Something tells me that Bibelot the Owl might know a lot more about the true history of the world than he lets on, and perhaps he might even have a meaningful conversation with Chopper, since Chopper can understand animals. Now, ever since the time skip, Chopper has not had many chances to use that ability, so hopefully he can use it in this arc and make himself useful so we can have a bit more of that juicy One Piece lore. And then, boom! A bombshell gets dropped. We get the clarification and the confirmation that the person that was speaking with the Gorosei that had the same look as Shanks was actually not Shanks. It was his evil twin brother, Figureland Shamrock. The people making evil Shanks theories can finally rest, as their theory is almost fully debunked by the story. Notice how I said almost fully debunked? Because realistically, we never know what twist Oda could do in this story. But having said that, I'm a firm believer that Shanks is the world government's biggest mistake. And what do I mean by that? Well, they never made sure that he was alive or dead at the end of the Gold Valley incident. They never made sure to look for him right then and there. They waited a while and then they found him on Roger's ship. The kid was supposed to be part of the notorious Figureland family in the Holy Land of Marie-Joie. But instead of that, Shanks ended up sailing with the king of the pirates himself, Gol D. Roger. Think of it this way. If Figureland Garling, Shanks and Shamrock's father, had been a caring parent and made sure to look out for his children, then both Shamrock and Shanks would have lived together in the Holy Land and brought up by their culture. Luffy wouldn't have had any other person to inspire him, let alone making him eat the devil fruit that is said to be the natural enemy of the world government. Then we have the Mural. Probably the biggest thing that came out from One Piece in 2025, and that's one hell of a statement because we have the massive introduction of Pirate Rocks D. Zebek. Also, we have the stuff with the Kuja pirates and Shaki. We had Emu basically summoning himself in the island of Elbaf. We had the whole stuff with the Domi Reversi turning all the giants into evil bastards. And then we had the entire God Valley incident that was revolving around these characters that I just mentioned. But in my eyes, the biggest shocker we had was the mural. The mural essentially represents the entire history of the One Piece world. The faraway past being the first world, the not so far away past of 800, 1,000 year-ish being the second world, and the present we live in right now and the future being the third world. The first world tells us how far advanced the ancient civilizations were with their technology, but it seems as though that era was powered by the Mother Flame. I would assume that it was a larger and much more developed Mother Flame than the one Vegapunk had. You can almost see the people on the right hand side of the mural transporting the Mother Flame somewhere, maybe inside their factories or something like that. Perhaps the ancient and giant laboratory that was found on Elbaf by Frankie and Lilith, which was a bombshell of its own, was also powered by the Mother Flame of that time, since it is told to us that this laboratory is approximately 3,000 years old. This might be the oldest thing we have yet encountered in the One Piece story. With a brain like Vegapunk and Frankie's, I'm sure they will make good use of this laboratory. Perhaps even using its technology to upgrade Frankie himself or the Thousand Sunny. But one thing I know for sure is that this laboratory will be of great significance moving forward. But the first world is depicted to be the part where the actual sun god Nika rose from the wishes and desires of the enslaved. So already the first world had its own problems, as a large amount of people was being enslaved. Maybe the slaves were the people we see on the right hand side of the mural transporting the Mother Flame. Maybe they were the ones to be the original members of the D-Clan. Perhaps the Devil Fruits themselves began from the desires of the D-Clan members to be free from the God of the Land. The God of the Land that was enraged by the wishes and desires of the slaves and then unleashed hell on earth. And the only one to oppose him was the sun god Nika. And let me put it on a scale for you. There are over 20 million islands in the One Piece world right now. But before that, they were large and vast continents. Which means that the fight between sun god Nika and the god of the land was so enormous and so frightening, it split the entire continents into many and many islands. But then, the two would not meet again. The second world is where I would assume that legends like Emu, Joy Boy, Davy Jones, and maybe even Ryuma live. It is said that the god of the forest worked their magic and nourished its devils. That immediately rings a lot of bells in my head that Emu might actually be the god of the forest, right? But then again, why would the god of the forest have the powers of a devil? I mean, you guys of course can let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, but I just don't understand this part. But those who followed the sun sparked the embers of war. And from my small One Piece knowledge, I would say that this sentence is purely talking about Joy Boy and perhaps his followers. But then it says the people of the half crescent and full moons dreamed. Dreamed of what exactly? Does this somehow have something to do with the Kozuki clan? Because of the Kozuki's moon crescent? Also, this has to have some relevance to the people of Skypiea and the moon people themselves. A lot of you don't know this, but yes, there are moon people in the One Piece world. The character who encounters them is none other than Eneru. In his cover story, after being defeated by Luffy, Eneru took his ship, the Arc Maxim, which by the way is also shown in the mural, and flew up in the sky powered by his devil fruit and landed on the moon. Not going over over his cover story too much, but Eneru gets attacked by a member of the space pirates. Yes, there are pirates up in the space. And after Eneru defeat him, we get to see more of the space pirates. Basically their entire crew, their ship, and their technology. From the looks of it, they have far more advanced technology from what we have in the Blue Sea. And that technology is very reminiscent of the tech we get shown in the first world. The second world for me is by far the most vague out of the three worlds. This is perhaps due to the world government desperately trying to erase that part of history. But it's also vague because of the last line in the second world, stating the ones who slew the sun defied themselves. So if we take my headcanon into consideration, this could hint to the slaves from the first world being the original D-clan members. And so if they slay the sun, they defy themselves. But I bet the ones who slew the sun, the ones who killed the sun, probably hinting at the ones who took down Joy Boy and his crew, had something to do, or maybe was even, Davy Jones and his crew. But when they slew the sun, they evoked the wrath of the sea god. Now, we have two gods, basically, the second world. The god of the forest and the god of the sea. Which one makes more sense to be Imu? Well, it's of course the god of the sea. Because Umi, in Japanese, Imu's name backwards is sea or water or whatever. Somebody explained it. So Imu being the sea god actually makes sense. But then, please let me know in the comments below who the forest god is. What is your theory? This is why I'm saying that the second world is very vague. We do not know every entity of that era. We know Joy Boy, Davy Jones, and Imu. So are they all... The sun god basically is Joy Boy, Imu is the sea god, and the forest god is Davy Jones? Perhaps. But obviously, the third world is the one that we understand the most. The world since the events of the second world has been in chaos. But it is the world where the sun god rises again, laughing and dancing in the sky and guiding the world into its new dawn. But thing is, after the first world, it says they would not meet again. And the same goes with the second world. But the third world, it says they surely will meet again. Now, what does Oda mean by that? Who is going to meet at the end of the series, and how will the new dawn be brought forth? You make sure to let me know your own theories in the comments below. But my honorable mentions of great moments of One Piece 2025 goes to Ida's character arc. Everything about how she changed Herald and considered Loki to be her own son. Rania's speech about how she would rather die than let the school and library be burnt because it would make a lot of the residents of Elbaf very sad. And basically everything to do with this amazing character Copper Gaban. As for God Valley, I've covered it a lot on this channel, so you can check out my live reactions, you can check out my Glazing Rocks video, and I mention a lot of stuff in the God Valley incident that you might be interested in. But if you made it to the end of this video, I want to say thank you to you. You are very much appreciated. I would love if you comment your theories and opinions about what I have discussed. And I know I'm a bit late for this, but Happy New Year everyone. I wish you all the best in 2026.